There are new health concerns for Pope Francis. Pope Francis checked into a hospital in Rome complaining of having trouble breathing, and he's going to need a few days of treatment there. What happens when the leader of one of the world's most powerful institutions faces health challenges? Pope Francis, a pivotal figure in both religious and political affairs, has sparked growing speculation about his future with recent health concerns and controversial decisions. The future of his papacy and the Vatican is uncertain. Pope Francis, the leader of the Catholic Church, has brought about significant change in the Church since his election in 2013. He is praised for helping social justice, refugees, and climate change and has changed the Vatican's views on these important issues. As he approaches his 88th birthday, health problems are raising concerns about his ability to continue with such a demanding job. Pope Francis has faced some health issues lately, including falls that caused injuries, problems with his intestines, surgeries for a hernia, and serious knee pain. Despite these issues, Francis remains active and continues to fulfill his duties as Pope. His honesty about his health has led to much speculation about whether he will quit before his term as Pope is over. In addition to his health issues, Pope Francis has faced disagreements within the Church, especially from conservative groups. They do not support his progressive views on topics like LGBTQ+ inclusion and financial reforms. His health problems and the Church's internal tensions raise important questions about his future and who might take over after him. Pope Francis continues to do his work, and many people are watching closely. What does his health mean for the future of the Catholic Church? Who will take over his memory when he is gone? Let's look into the challenges and rumors surrounding Pope Francis. At 88 years old, Pope Francis has faced several health problems that raise concerns about his ability to continue as Pope. He has recently fallen multiple times and has hurt himself, including injuring his face and getting a bruise on his forearm. These events, along with his bad knee pain that has required him to use a wheelchair since 2022, have made his physical limitations more noticeable. Pope Francis's health has further raised questions given his last few years of surgeries, one for diverticulitis in 2021 and another for an incisional hernia in 2023. Pope Francis has downplayed the seriousness of his health issues. Despite the challenges he faces, he has stated in public that he plans to stay and is healthy enough to continue his duties. In his memoirs, Francis freely admits his aging body but argues he is still able to carry out his papal obligations. Pope Francis has adopted a pragmatic approach to his health, allowing aging to pass without interfering with his activities and accepting its reality. Many have been reassured by this public stance, but it has also spurred a lot of conjecture on his future. Pope Francis's transparency about the prospect of quitting is among the most discussed aspects of his papacy. He has said multiple times that he has a resignation letter ready in case physical problems keep him from doing his job. Resignation should be a rare and grave choice, one that does not compromise the honor of the Pope, Pope Francis said, fearing that it would reduce the power and responsibility of the post. He has made it very obvious that he does not want resignation to become a regular choice for next popes. Pope Francis is dedicated to his papacy for as long as he can perform his duties. Notwithstanding the continuous health issues, still up for public conjecture, though, is whether or not Pope Francis will retire given his age and health problems. Many people have voiced worry about his capacity to be heading the Catholic Church. His use of a wheelchair, together with the recent falls and surgery, raises concerns regarding his ability to keep the rigorous pace required of the Pope. Although Pope Francis has not publicly said he plans to quit anytime soon, his health has spurred discussions on the papacy's future. Pope Francis's health problems impact the Catholic Church worldwide, not just him personally. As one of the most influential religious leaders in the world, his health affects how people see his guidance. A key feature of his time as Pope has been his forward-thinking approach to issues like social justice, climate change, and helping poor communities. If his health prevents him from doing his job, the Church would likely change direction and start discussing who will succeed him. Even though there are more and more reports about him stepping down, Pope Francis has not shown any signs of leaving soon. Francis has said he intends to remain Pope for as long as possible. The Pope has made it clear that even though his health is a worry, he will continue to do his job. His views on health and age show that he wants to serve the Church for as long as he can. The speculation about Pope Francis's health and potential departure has prompted discussions about the future of the papacy. If Pope Francis decides to quit, it would be a significant event in the history of the Church. A new pope is chosen by a group of cardinals who vote for his replacement. The outcome of this vote is uncertain, but it would greatly impact the future direction of the Church. Pope Francis continues to carry out his duties with the support of Vatican staff and his medical team. His presidency is marked by important changes, efforts to combat abuse by clergy, and a commitment to world peace. Many Catholics around the world have come to know him because of these programs and his strength in dealing with health challenges. So what does this all mean for the future of the Vatican? Will Pope Francis step down, or will he continue to lead the Catholic Church through its most challenging times? Pope Francis has faced many challenges during his time as Pope, both from inside the Catholic Church and from outside it. His radical ideas and calls for change have sparked strong debate, especially among conservative parts of the Church. These internal differences have created tension and raised concerns about the future of the Vatican, often overshadowing his leadership. Pope Francis's modern views on social issues have been a major source of disagreement within the Church. During his time as Pope, conservative groups have criticized his views on LGBTQ+ rights and the role of women in the Church. Pope Francis has shown support for civil unions for LGBTQ+ couples, which some traditional Catholics see as controversial. Some priests strongly disagreed with his comments because they believe they went against Church teachings. Pope Francis wants to give women more important roles in the Church, including leadership positions in the Vatican. However, some traditional Church members are against this idea. Pope Francis's handling of the clergy problem has been a controversial topic. Even though he has tried to improve the situation by creating rules for accountability and transparency, most people have not praised his efforts. Some abuse survivors have criticized him for not punishing bishops who are to blame, while others believe the Vatican's answer has been slow and not enough. Another area of strife in the Church has been money issues. Pope Francis has called for more financial transparency and responsibility in the Vatican, but some people who benefit from the present situation have resisted his efforts. Reform has been tough for the Vatican because of their complicated financial system and past problems involving corruption and money laundering. Pope Francis's honest views on global issues have attracted notice and sometimes faced abuse. For example, his support for immigrants and refugees has caused disagreements with government leaders who favor stricter immigration laws. He strongly criticized former President Donald Trump's immigration policies, calling them a disgrace. This was one of the most talked about comments. Pope Francis uses his position to speak up for the world's most defenseless people. He has also talked a lot about the need to address social inequality, poverty, and climate change. Many people have answered his calls to take action, but some traditionalist Catholics, especially those who think his actions are driven by politics or don't align with traditional Catholic beliefs, have disagreed. Pope Francis has often spoken about immigrants and climate change, which has made him seen as a global advocate for social justice. These viewpoints have caused tensions with some conservative groups both within the Church and in the wider community. People who favor a nationalistic and conservative government are suspicious of his criticism of nationalistic policies and his support for global solutions to poverty and inequality. Pope Francis's political words have caused disagreements with some leaders and groups who support traditional values and are against globalist ideas. While he has been Pope, Pope Francis has mainly worked on making changes in the Vatican and the wider Catholic Church. Even with a lot of disagreement, his requests for financial transparency and accountability have led to important changes. Reforming the Vatican is tricky because of years of financial mismanagement and corruption problems. Pope Francis has worked to address these problems, but progress has been slow due to the long-term habits and interests of powerful people in the Vatican. Pope Francis's change plan includes a push to make the Church less centralized. He has given local bishops and pastors more power to make decisions that affect their communities, allowing them to be more independent. Some people are happy about this, but others are concerned that decentralization might weaken Catholic faith. Some conservative Church leaders are concerned that giving more power to local bishops could weaken important Catholic teachings, especially on issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, and contraception. People are discussing Pope Francis's efforts to balance new ideas with traditional Catholic beliefs. Some people think his reform plan is tricky because he tries to balance different opinions. Some say he goes too far, while others believe he hasn't done enough. Both supporters and critics of his synodal method, which seeks to involve more lay people in decisions, have noted supporters believe it helps the Church be more welcoming and responsive to people's needs, while critics are concerned it might weaken the Church's power and beliefs. While Pope Francis's papacy has been shaped by both internal and external pressures, his efforts at reform have made waves within the Church. But with all eyes on the future, one name stands out as a potential successor: Cardinal Luis Tagle. Could he continue Pope Francis's legacy, or will he chart a new course for the Church? Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, who was born in Manila in 1957, has become one of the most revered people in the Catholic Church. He was chosen Archbishop of Manila in 2011, and he rapidly became known for his outreach to the impoverished and oppressed. He is known for his compassionate leadership and thorough understanding of theology. Pope Benedict XVI appointed him as a cardinal in 2012, which further established his status in the church hierarchy. Tagle is appreciated not only in the Philippines but also around the world because of his emphasis on social justice, his humility, and his connection with people from all walks of life. Tagle's pastoral approach to leadership is what distinguishes him. Even if he has a solid education in theology, his attempts to connect with people about the issues that are most important to them, like poverty, human rights, and migration, are quite similar to the principles of Pope Francis. As a result, many people have begun to wonder if Tagle would be a good choice to succeed the present Pope. Cardinal Tagle is considered by many to be a leading candidate to take over for Pope Francis since they have similar opinions on social justice and the Church's place in the world today. Pope Francis has publicly lauded Tagle's work and appointed him to important posts, including his involvement with the Vatican's Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. Even while this endorsement is not an official pronouncement, it has led to speculation that Tagle is being groomed for the Pope. Tagle's way of leading is a good match for Pope Francis's idea of a church that is more welcoming, caring, and dedicated to helping people who are in need. Tagle's capacity to interact with the faithful and his focus on global concerns such as migration and inequality reflect the goals that Pope Francis has emphasized during his time as Pope. Tagle would continue the tradition of Pope Francis with his worldwide expertise and reformist outlook, although his approach might be a little different. No official endorsement has been given. Regardless of the rumors, the College of Cardinals will choose the next pope through a conclave, and they are the ones who will decide who will take Pope Francis's place. Cardinal Tagle would encounter a number of internal challenges if he were to be elected pope. The most important of these is the conflict between the progressive groups within the Church, of which he is a member, and the more traditionalist forces that have frequently opposed the changes that Pope Francis has proposed. Pope Francis's papacy has been marked by these internal conflicts, particularly in relation to matters such as the inclusion of LGBTQ+ individuals and the responsibilities of women in the Church. By clergy members, Tagle is a progressive personality. Therefore, it is likely that he would continue Pope Francis's advocacy for greater inclusivity, social justice, and decentralization within the Church. However, these positions have created tension with traditionalists who may not agree with Tagle's method of governing. He would need to be very careful in order to continue making changes while yet upholding the basic doctrines of the Church. Tagle would also have to deal with major external problems, especially when it comes to combining his progressive position with the political situation throughout the world. Pope Francis has frequently expressed his opinions on topics like climate change, migration, and economic inequality. This has occasionally resulted in his being at differences with political leaders and conservative organizations. Tagle's ability to keep this global position while bringing together Catholics from varied cultural and political backgrounds would be put to the test. What type of leader would Cardinal Tagle be if he were to be elected pope? It is obvious that he would carry on Pope Francis's emphasis on mercy and social justice. His attempts to tackle inequality and his dedication to interfaith communication demonstrate that he is a church leader who is open to confronting the most urgent problems facing the world. On the other hand, it is yet uncertain whether Tagle would take a more conventional or modern approach to governing. Tagle's papacy would probably be defined by his ability to balance progressive reforms with the desire to preserve the unity of the Church. Based on his previous activities, it appears like he will carry on Pope Francis's vision of a church that reaches out to the marginalized and works to be more inclusive while still managing the complicated realities of church tradition and theology. While the thought of Tagle continuing Pope Francis's legacy is interesting, it is yet unclear if he would keep the same level of openness or take the Church in a different direction. One thing is for sure, Cardinal Luis Tagle's leadership would be characterized by an emphasis on compassion, inclusivity, and outreach on a worldwide scale. With the potential for Cardinal Tagle to become the next pope, what could this mean for the future of the Church and the challenges it faces moving forward? When the time comes for the Catholic Church to choose a new pope, the process is both sacred and secretive. The College of Cardinals, consisting of senior church leaders from around the world, is tasked with selecting the next leader of the Church. They gather in the Vatican for what is known as a conclave, a highly confidential meeting where they vote in secret to choose the new pope. During the conclave, all of the cardinals cast their ballots until one candidate receives more than 2/3 of the total votes. The ballots are incinerated after every vote. When a new pope is selected, the smoke from the burning ballots turns white, letting everyone outside know that a decision has been made. If a decision is not made, the smoke will become black, and the cardinals will vote again. This procedure guarantees that the election of the pope is sacred and final, with no outside influence altering the result. The conclave is a significant event for the Church, and the decisions taken by the cardinals will determine the future of Catholicism. Even with all the conjecture, the process of picking a pope is still surprising. Even if Cardinal Tagle and others have been put forward as possible candidates, the conclave will be the one to select the future leader. Factors such as the needs of the Church, the state of the world, and the way things operate within the Vatican will all have an impact on the decision. If the Church is facing a global tragedy or other major problems, the cardinals may select a pope who is capable of dealing with particular challenges. In addition to religious concerns, the politics within the Vatican also play a role in the election. The cardinals have various histories and come from different areas, therefore, their goals may not be the same. It is hard to guess what will happen at the meeting. The papacy may take a different route if Pope Francis were to leave. If Francis were to resign, it would be only the second time in modern history that a pope has stepped away from their position, the first being Pope Benedict XVI's resignation in 2013. This may result in additional changes within the Church and maybe new leaders. The next pope's opinions will have a significant impact on the continuation of Pope Francis's initiatives, especially those related to inclusiveness, social justice, and the environment. The election is an important event for both the Vatican and the global Catholic community since the next pope will influence the direction of the Church for many years to come. And there you have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Click on the next video popping up on your screen, you won't want to miss what's coming next.